that notification. So welcome. Today is the School of Nursing and Health Professions focus. This is open to all of the health professions. So if you're not with nursing, welcome and thanks for being here. My name is Melissa Dagne. I know some of you, I haven't met everyone. I joined UIW back October 1st of 2020. So I've been here almost 6 months. I'm learning a lot along the way. It's all still a little new, and definitely I think we're all in a learning curve with the Canvas transition. So lots of things to talk about on a regular basis. Basically, I have put together, we have a lot of training opportunities. The Center for Teaching and Learning has offered Canvas trainings and is talking about a lot of different topics. I have put this series together to talk more about the actual process of building your course, that start to finish, and maybe some tips and tricks on how you can get that done in as little time as possible, because I know we're all super busy. So basically, I'm going to share my screen and walk you through some demonstrations. Today is going to be a high-level overview, and if you'll give me just one moment to pull up my information. So I went ahead and had mentioned a few minutes before the hour that there are some resources in the chat, so please definitely feel free to copy those links or to open the file and follow along. I'm just going to set myself up here. And okay, and so if everybody can see my screen at this point, you have got basically, we're looking at the document that I've shared with you guys. So this first week is going to be the overview. We're basically going to walk through the concepts that we're going to talk about. I'm going to do a tour of Canvas and, really just get that big picture. I feel like in my, 15 or so years now of instructional design and working with students in online environments, they get easily disoriented. So I'd like to be able to share some of the ways that I've learned to avoid some of the problems and make the workload a little bit easier when you're actively teaching a course. So that's really important. A lot of times faculty have very little time, and I certainly respect that. So what happens is that you put together a piece of your course, and then as students are working on that piece, you're coming behind and you're putting together the second piece of that course, and so on and so forth as you work through it. Well, a lot of times what students, they feel a sense of anxiety, not knowing what the big picture is as their course, reveals itself piece by piece over time. So what this series is going to do is talk about how getting the big picture framework, it's similar to looking at the puzzle box and knowing what the picture looks like before you're going to be getting into it piece by piece. And as we put together that picture, we don't necessarily have to know every bit and piece that's going to fit together, but we do have the big idea. So we're going to talk first about the overview, setting up that big picture. Week 2, I'm going to do the organization of courses and tweaking all your settings. So everybody has a different need. We all have custom ways we like to teach. Canvas gives you a lot of options on controlling that environment. So we're going to go through each piece, make sure you've got it set up the way you want, and that you understand when you turn something on or off, or you change a setting, what the consequences of that will be moving forward. Week 3, going to go over editing and building content areas. So that's going to be, all that useful parts of adding your videos or adding your documents, and, really setting up all of the parts that let you put in information. Week 4, I'll cover graded assignments. So it's anything in Canvas you can give a grade to: discussions, assignments, quizzes, the full picture. Then we've got week 5 to create modules and structure. And so that's that piece. Once you've got all your stuff, the collection is there, then you're going to want to use the modules to create that pathway that students get through your course. And then the last piece, right before the May 10th courses start, we're going to talk about finalize and publishing. So really, there's going to be 3 pathways for this series. You're going to be one of 3 things. You've got the next week to think about that. And then I'll be asking everyone where their position stands. So that's going to be, you're either going to be the person who's going to want to build fresh from scratch. You've got an empty course. You're just going to start over. You're going to be a partial copy, which maybe you've got Blackboard components that you want to keep and Blackboard components that you do not want, and how that's going to mesh together. And then maybe if you've got a really robust Blackboard course where all your stuff was really done, you want to clean that up and you want to use that. And so that's the clean house option. So that's where we're going to go from here. So I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to pull up the internet, right? So at this point, do you have any questions about where we're at? And I am sorry, I apologize, but I am looking for my chat. It's hiding from me right this moment. So I've got a couple of, here we go, bring this up. So that way, if anybody asks any questions, I can see you guys. And give me 1 second. I'm hesitating. I've got a extended display. Well, on my other extension, it likes to move more slowly and has a delayed mouse reaction. So I have to make it behave. Okay, so no questions in the chat so far. I encourage everyone, please don't hesitate to speak up and let me know if you have something and I'm talking and miss a chat question. Informal conversations, questions welcome. Definitely want everyone to feel comfortable and understand all of the different options for how you're going to be able to work through this transition. Basically, I work by appointment. I have my bookings link in my signature of all emails. It's on our UIW Canvas webpage, which I am going to show you is full of lots of good information. So this one right here, I'm going to copy and also put in the chat. If you don't have it bookmarked, I highly recommend it. This is going to be where you find the migration schedule details, you find links to help, you find answers to a lot of common questions. So this is really great. And then of course, on the right-hand side here, you've got our support team in place and who is handling different aspects. Adela Gott is helping me with nursing, so that's really great. And I work with all of the health professions. So you can just click this button here. It pulls up my accurate calendar in real time, find a spot that works for you, and it sends me an email telling me when to be there. So very convenient, no need to go back and forth. And you don't worry, if you have something complicated and you want to send me an email to give me a heads up, that's also great, right? I can do a lot of legwork and finding answers to questions if you've got something you're working on. So we will go back to Cardinal Apps. Okay, so the Canvas website, my bookings, I send out weekly emails. I'm sure some of you have been getting them. If you're not, please let me know, but I try to make them as useful and brief as possible. There's probably a lot of links in them. So if it's relevant, something you want to learn more about, you would head over and check that information rather than sending a book in email. So I've got this document I put in the chat that I made for today. I'm just going to go piece by piece and work through it. So like I had said, there's 3 ways that you're potentially going to want to build a Canvas course. And one of them is going to be Blackboard, has come over into your Canvas space. We moved your courses over. So I'm going to look at my Pilates course that Brittany Lockard was kind enough to let me take a copy of and play with. And this course in Blackboard, I signed in and this is what I'm looking at. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to separate these into 2 windows. So I'm going to work side by side. So I've got what it looked like over in Blackboard. And then I took a copy and I now have a copy of this course in Canvas. And so now you can see once it loads where I'm at side by side. And so this is the one clean house method. It's going to be one of the most work because it takes a lot of editing. But again, she's got a very robust course and she's not going to want to lose a lot of her information by having to start over. Now, if you don't have as much information, building from scratch, I also have another example. So maybe you asked for a sandbox and your sandbox was made by a delegate and she got it. And you have an empty course and it looks just like this one. There's absolutely nothing in it. You can do anything you want and start from scratch. And then that third option, oops, hold on. I just clicked disconnect. So it's gonna jump in the middle of all my stuff. 1 second. That was an accident. So if you have any questions while I'm fixing this, let me know. I'm just going to move it all out of the way.
Melissa,
Someone started talking and cut out. Are you there?
Sorry. I have a question about like a new course that's never been taught before. So you'll get something that looks like a sandbox?
You will be the third option that I just disconnected myself on accidentally. But yeah, I will definitely be showing you. You'll get some blueprint information. That's the one I'm going to show you just a second. As soon as I put in this code and connect myself back to my second monitor. And it's not going to be completely empty. So you'll have a bit of a springboard of information, thankfully. So that is extremely helpful to be able to, to start with something. And we'll walk through that piece by piece. So just give me 1 second here.
Melissa, too, once you show us like existing courses that got moved over, all of my courses were moved over upon my request, but when I click on the boxes, I don't really see anything. Okay. I don't see the things that I had under Blackboard. I find it overwhelming.
Are you talking about summer courses or fall?
I'm talking about a course I have in the summer, and I'm talking about a course I have in the fall. Okay,
the fall course, I have a much more simple answer because they're not fully populated. Blackboard is still working on them. And so there's definitely going to be, some time to wait for that. But your summer one, you should see information. Once I show you how it's transferred over, if it's not a little more clear, please definitely let's get together and take a look at it because I'm not really sure why you wouldn't see. It looks a little different, but it shouldn't be completely, difficult to locate your stuff. So we'll take a tour today and then see how you feel at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I am actually clicking the share button and getting you guys back. I apologize for that little snag. Okay, and so, okay. I should be seeing us back to where we were. I'm telling you, this mouse delay on my computer is pretty crazy. I've never experienced it before. It's almost like trying to catch like something in midair and it just wants to move. Very weird. Okay, so here we go. This third part here that I was about to show you, so I'm going to unpin that so I don't disconnect myself again, is called the blueprint. And so this is what you will find in your academic courses from Banner. So summer, these all came out. I do believe it was the week before last. Time is sort of unusual these days. And so it might have been last week, but I think it was the week before. So you will log into the course that you're scheduled to teach. And this is the one that has your student enrollments because it's the one from Banner. It's official. It's not a sandbox. It's not a copy of Blackboard. It's just the real deal. And it's going to have some information. So there's a homepage, and these are following Quality Matters, guide on what makes a quality course. So we try to keep it really simple so it's useful for everyone, no matter what type of course, face-to-face, hybrid, or online you're teaching, but with just enough of the information to sort of help you fill in those details if you're building a completely new course that's never been taught before. This is going to be really good for you. So the text on the page, it's formatted that you can edit and replace it, but it also has some explanations. So, so why use this blueprint, or, what type of video do you want to put on your homepage, welcoming students into your course. So a lot of times people want to put their homepage as like, hi, I'm the teacher, and you talk about yourself a little bit. But what we're showing here is one way that you can get students excited about your actual subject rather than just your particular course. It can be about like, why would we want to learn about this? So Elements of Structures from MIT. This is, it's just a really short, fun video. If you have time to take a look at it, it's a great example, but she really goes in to talk about the subject matter and how it's relevant and why people would want to learn it. And that just sort of hooks your students onto what they're going to be expecting to do in your class. And then the portion below gets them started. So we always want to direct them to the syllabus, maybe an introduction, if you're not doing that in your actual classroom. And then the course orientation module. So this is the home page. I'm going to go over to the syllabus just to show you the syllabus in Canvas lets you actually put your document here. So right now it's loading, but this is the University of Incarnate Words template I've just put here. It can be replaced with your actual information. And then below, anything you have scheduled in the calendar or with a due date throughout your course is going to automatically populate in this course summary area. So it basically just makes an actually updated version of maybe the course outline that you would normally include with your syllabus. So that's just a feature built in with Canvas we'll talk about in much more detail as we go through these sessions. So then the next part here, it's got an announcement to welcome. You can go in, you can edit the information, you can set the date and time to release that first day when you put your course out there for student access. And that will just go straight out to them by email. And then it also keeps the record within the course. So one of the resources you might have noticed along the way that I've been reaching out is our Health Professions Canvas resource course I put together. It's 12 short topics, gives a high level information about some of the most important things everyone needs to know, and connects you to the Canvas guides that give step-by-step instructions for anything you're trying to accomplish. That course, I actually use the assignment section to do tech tips or common questions I get emailed. Everybody wants to know, how do I give a student extra time on a quiz? We have accommodations. Once I found the answer for one person and made sure it worked, I put it in the announcement so I can go back there and refer to it. And so can the 200 and something people who are enrolled. So you should have an accept option when you log into Canvas through Cardinal Apps. Definitely jump in that course and you might find some information you like there as well. The next section, and honestly, one of the most important, this is the meat of the course, comes with the blueprint and orientation for students. Now, all of this information is template style. It's not custom for your course. You'll want to get to change all those details, but it definitely handled the style and the formatting for you. So I'm going to click on the first one and just sort of walk through. You'll all see this in your own. There's, just space for you to change this information out. Now, most of it is covered in your syllabus, and that checks the box for communicating those details to your students, but there also might just be some ways that you want to elaborate or maybe, talk to it more than the form that you use in syllabus to give it some more personalization. I'm going to come down here, and because all of these pages are put into a module, I have next and previous buttons at the bottom of the page that creates that structure. So the next item in that module was school and department policies. Now, I know that you guys have a lot of shared department policies, and many of you might be working on a OneDrive document. Maybe somebody keeps that document updated with those policies, and then you're all going to share a link to it, and that would go on this page. There's a variety of ways to handle that. So if anybody wants to talk through the details, I'm definitely willing to support in that, but this would be just one way to get some of that specific school and department policies.
Melissa, question.
Yes.
On Blackboard previously, those were preloaded by the university and they were part of our templated Blackboard. And so those aren't being loaded. I mean, I understand. I actually have the course that's been loaded for the summer and it's empty. So they're not loading those stated policies that we actually automatically sent the students to?
So, okay, yes and no. So there is going to be, if you'll look over here, I have a policies, guidelines, and accommodations link. That's coming with the courses. They're in the middle of processing coding to have a button over here that says resources, and it's going to be part of the global navigation for every single course across the university that will have links to the things that were being handled in Blackboard. This was more for maybe another layer of drilling down department policies. So for example, I have 5 different health profession schools. The policies for School of Physical Therapy are going to be different than School of Nursing and Health Professions. And so instead of everyone having all of every school's policies, those very specific ones to where you're talking about have to go in the course level. Does that sound similar, different, on target, concerns?
So SNHP technology is trying to determine how that might be structured and take that back to SNHP for a final decision. But there might be a set of policies for undergraduate nursing. There might be a set of policies for graduate nursing. There might be a set of policies for the health professions, whatever those are, so that you could pick those up and move those into your course.
So we do have a variety of ways to manage that.
Yeah, but we haven't finished that work yet, Karen, or even started it, really.
Thanks for responding.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, the next page we've got is going to be just an introduction to the instructor. You'd want to obviously put a picture of yourself, customize the information. You'll see throughout this blueprint, there are some links to different articles or example information, just to give you some ideas if you're stuck. The next one is going to be an introduce yourself discussion board. So if you're not doing a face-to-face icebreaker introduction for all of your students on the first day of class together, then the discussion area is a great place to do that. And so there are more resources within these areas if you'd like to explore them. This next one is a question and answer discussion. So as part of the times that we're teaching in, students have questions, they can post here if it's something that applies to, that's not private in nature, and other students can be encouraged to answer those questions as well. So there's some placeholder text here, and of course it can all be edited to exactly what you need to do.
Melissa, can I just ask really quickly, and I'm sorry, I'll just ask. I have always run my Blackboard courses because I teach on the graduate level, and because the courses are hybrid, they're not all online. I've always gone by the rule of less is more, because my students, it's very, very detailed in terms of this is where you go for this, this is where, because our students are working professionals. And so they need to just be able to get to the information. And they don't like courses that have like 10 million different buttons. So my question is, how much of this is modifiable or deletable, so to speak, when our courses get set up so that we can streamline it? I know that my course, I know with Quality Matters, it's, do this and do that and do this and do that. But some of it just is a little bit overwhelming for sometimes for the grad students, because they just need to get in and get out.
So I will tell you that this is the components you're looking at on this page here with these links in the course navigation menu that don't have the eyeball slash through, right? So if I click on my student view, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, this right here is considered the bare minimum if you're going to do, if you want to keep it simple. Now, let's say you hold face-to-face class. There's absolutely no reason for you to do an introduce yourself discussion board. It's no big deal. We leave the student view. You come right over here and you just turn it off. That's it. It's just a button. So it's a lot easier than the amount of information that came with the Quality Matters components in the Blackboard instance. I will say I've been part of when that stuff comes over and having to clean that out. I can show you right here. Remember, this is my Blackboard copy that I'm working with Brittany's course. And I'm going to say, this is what comes in. It's a lot. All of this stuff is how Blackboard transferred over. I've got every school. I have to get rid of all of this in order to clean up that course. So it definitely is more streamlined than what we had in Blackboard. And it's very, very, very easy to just, I don't want it, and take it out. I don't need a discussion board. That took it away and it's gone. I don't need, I would say if you're doing an online course, you want to keep success tips or netiquette potentially, but maybe you have your own or you use a link somewhere and you wanted to turn that one off. And then we can come back to our student view and we have less, just like that.
But it'll still be on our view, because I actually find it annoying as well.
It will be on your view. Once you've made your decision, you can delete it. I just don't want to delete it because I have to use this course for the training purposes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to show you how to delete it because I need it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
yeah, no, definitely. It's
There's
going to be.
There's a definite way to delete it. So if we wanted to set up an appointment to have you show us how to delete it, we could.
Oh, no, I'm going to actually show you how to delete all of it. I'm going to show you how to edit, change, delete everything. So if I come down here, it's not really, I'm just going to skip to this, show you view all pages. Oh,
you
no,
don't have
okay.
to. I don't want to get ahead of you.
There's everything that's in this. This is the whole list. You could just come and delete whatever you wanted. That's all it takes.
Okay, cool.
You've got, it's super, super, super user friendly in that way. Deleting is easy. The problem is if you actually go through that process and I delete it, getting it back is impossible.
Okay.
So we don't want to delete unless we really mean it. So yeah, that's where we definitely have, we have some options and I'm going to go through every single bit of them.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. These are great questions. So this just gives you an idea on what your three choices were. You've got empty sandbox. You're going to get the blueprint with your academic course. And then you're also going to get this copy from Blackboard. So one thing I talked about a little bit, touching base, was building all or as much of your course as possible before the term starts. And that's not really because you need to be 100% finished. It's just that, the more you have out of the way, the less hectic your actual semester can be. So this training series is really going to be about putting the foundational pieces in place and then going back to edit maybe all of your instructions or update. I am going to show you how to put in a placeholder file and then quickly replace it once you have the rest of the details. You can just do a lot to have yourself prepped and sort of primed to make the semester a little bit more streamlined. The mindset we want to keep is we're unlearning Blackboard and not necessarily going to become a Canvas expert overnight for it. You can be very successful using Canvas just by having an idea of what you need to do and knowing that's not the way you did it in Blackboard. So once you've just got that frame of reference, it's going to move forward very easily from that point. One feature I want to show you is the course setup tutorial. So where this is in any place that you go. So if I say I want to come over here and I want to look at my announcements. And when I come to my announcements page, I can create a new announcement. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger. And typically it will pop up options. And it's, of course, it's not doing it. Here we go. This little arrow right here, it will tell me all the information I could possibly want to know on the health resources for that particular area. So it's going to give you an explanation of what you've got going on here. It's going to tell you the basics where you can go read an article on what announcements are if you're just starting out. It's going to have all the health topics that are most relevant. So adding, editing, deleting, that sort of thing. So if I'm going to say come over to assignments, and once it loads, sometimes it just takes a little while. That arrow is back. And again, all the information I need to know for that top level, how to create an assignment. So one of the piloteers from the School of Physical Therapy said that over Christmas, while she was wrapping up her stuff, she found that to be a really useful feature because, you know, she'd be in there doing something and then just go over there and find an article for her instructions. Not only that, but you also are going to have the help feature. And this is right over here. You click the global navigation question mark. You're going to have the very first thing is the Canvas support hotline, 24/7 support. You can call them. They will be able to look at the page you are trying to work on. They will be able to tell you maybe where you're going wrong or what step you're missing, or just, you know, the basics of how to accomplish what it is you're trying to do. They can help. So that's definitely a timely choice. And again, chat, also convenient. Your students will also have the hotline and chat for them. So if they don't know how to upload their assignment, they're not going to be calling you at 10 o'clock at night or emailing you, right? They'll be able to use this service. And that brings me to wanting to show you that we have in that module I was showing you, the last one, possibly one of the most helpful, is information for how to get help. I apologize if you guys can hear the unusual talking of my boxer. He's decided he's got some feelings right now. So I'm just going to ignore him. I hope you will do the same. Basically, tech support, it's going to talk about when to contact you. And you would want to change this, of course. If your policy is to not use the discussion board, come on over here, click edit, let it load, and then just takes a second sometimes. And then you literally can just put your cursor in and delete whatever parts don't apply and put in what does apply for your course. So you have full control over all of this information. None of it is locked down. You can change anything you want. So we got quite a bit of good information that applies to everyone here. So again, that Canvas 24/7 support, technical requirements, you may not use lockdown browsers, so you might want to delete this. Definitely whatever you need to do to streamline it for your students. So the course setup tutorial has lots of good stuff. It's going to be in just about every feature. It will walk you through what you need to know. The next part I want to talk about is that, so everybody should, hold on one second. He was talking to his friend. That's what's going on over there. Okay, so basically what we're talking about here is once you go to Cardinal Apps and you log into Canvas, everyone should see their Blackboard summer courses that should have content in it. Whatever you had in Blackboard should have moved over. And you should also see your summer academic courses from Banner, which should have your enrollment and your student enrollment managed for you. Now, if you do not see that, please definitely just shoot me an email, let me know, and I will, connect you or look into it further, however we need to get that accomplished. But I definitely want to make sure everybody knows that you should see summer courses in all forms already. Now, if you are a new instructor and your Banner person, the person who enters the teachers into the Banner system for your department, if that hasn't happened, that would be why you don't see the summer course you're supposed to be teaching. So that can sometimes, teaching assignments can sometimes take time or they get changed. So definitely depends on your school. The Banner feed talks to Canvas 4 times a day. So really, whenever this person makes a change to the instructor of record, 4 times a day, that information gets updated. A student drops a course, that information gets updated. You get a student enrolled later, it gets updated. So you're all good there. However, you have the power to enroll people yourself. So let's say you want to unofficially co-teach. Maybe you've got a colleague that helps you out if you end up being sick. You can go into your course, and doesn't matter the type of course, they all are going to have the same option. And you can go to the people area and you can add a person by clicking the plus people button. So all you need is their UIW email address. You put this in here. So I would say my own, for example, Dagne at UIWTX.edu. And then I would give them an actual role. I either want them to be a teacher who can see my students in their grades. I would give them colleague, which is a little bit more locked down, lets them get to and help me with content and look around, but maybe not necessarily interact with students. Your TA is going to be able to do almost everything a teacher can do, just there's some holding back on that. And then we have the designer. Again, designer and colleague are very similar. We have the affiliate role. So if you have a student who's maybe got issues with hearing and has a transcribe, a captionist for transcriptions in your course, they would get an affiliate account and then they would get the affiliate role. And then you've got the observer role. So if you do any work with advisors and you want to partner them with a group of students, the observer role is going to be the one you would choose to be able to link a student with an observer. So all of these choices, again, this information is well documented. So when you're, wrapping your head around it and ready to get into making these choices, and you might want to read a little bit more, definitely want to check out the resource course. So I can show you, it has a brain image, little drawing here. And once it opens up, it's basically going to have, the topics, 12 of them. And on Banner and enrollments, you can go and you can read all of the details and definitions on all of that. So it's definitely there for your reference anytime. Okay, so that covers that piece. So we've toured the blueprint. Does anybody have any questions about the blueprint while we're...
I had a question about enrollments. So and this has happened quite a bit, like we have a part-time instructor, they leave, but we want to get access to their course. And I was not enrolled in their course before. Right now, we email Adela, she makes us an instructor in that course, and we end up having it on our Blackboard. How does that work with Canvas?
So with Canvas, if you are going to take over being the teacher of a course, you need to have instructor of record in Banner. So there are ways to just put people in any course unofficially, but really the IT stance is that instead of us putting you in a course when no one really knows, you should be added as the teacher in Banner. Now, if there are reasons why, let's say, for example, you're going to help out with the course, but you're not really going to be the instructor of record, so you don't want, you really didn't want that to happen, you can definitely contact Adela and we would figure it out at that point. Now, if someone is already a teacher, I'm so sorry. If someone's already a teacher in there, they can add you as a teacher and then you can teach. But if the person leaves and doesn't have access to their course anymore, then that would be the roadblock, and Adela would be able to help you for sure. That's a great question. Anybody else? Okay, so basically, we kind of walked through the components of a blueprint. Super easy if you go into modules and you already know how you structure your course, you're seasoned, you don't need any examples. You can easily come on over here and you can just delete this whole thing one way and just get rid of all of it at one time, and then it's out of your view. You can also easily just collapse it, and then you don't have to look at the section at all. So when you're working through your course and you're in the middle of teaching a semester, sometimes it's just easier to collapse it and clean up your view, for sure. So basically we talked about, you log into Canvas, you get to your dashboard. Everyone's dashboard is customizable by them. You can do whatever you want here. You can rearrange your tiles. You can change colors. So they're easily to change the colors. You have published on the top, unpublished on the bottom, and then you over here in your global navigation actually have all of your courses. So I'm going to click all courses and I'm going to show you. Sometimes they disappear from the dashboard based on how that whole process works in the back end of the system. So once the end of the semester is over with, if a course goes away and a new course takes its place, the dashboard's sort of dynamic and it can change. So if you don't see your course, it's going to be over here. And this star is how it's put on the dashboard. So let's say I no longer want to see my admin training. I just unclick that star. And when I go back to my dashboard, it's not going to be there anymore. And it'll reload. And now I have one less course up here in published. So I'm going to actually go back and I'll show you one more time there that I changed my mind. I do want it. I'll put the star back and now it'll be back on my dashboard. So keeping this in mind, what you do on your dashboard does not control anything that happens on your student's dashboard. So that's really important to remember. They have control over theirs the same way that you do. And the biggest part of this, in the resource course, I kind of have a whole page on odd behaviors of Canvas, just to give you heads ups, but this is one of them. If you change the color of your card that's here, it changes the name, the font color on your calendar. So the color you select for your card is going to actually match the color of the text on your calendar. And this is the same for students. So if somebody thinks it's a great idea to make their card a pale yellow, and then they come over here and they're like, I can barely see what the words say. Well, that's because they chose the card color and it's not good contrast, so they need to pick a different color. So, and it shows them the little preview on the right-hand side with the color box on what matches. And they can turn those off and not look at it. There's full interaction and control for everyone. Okay, so global navigation, we also want to take a second to show you guys the profile. Over here in your account, students have this as well. You can manage your notifications. You can change profile information and add a picture. You can manage your files. So when students upload an assignment, it goes with their files. we're actually in the middle of talking about what file limit size that should be for students right now. So that's something that came up. It might be small, and if they're uploading, a larger PowerPoint and it eats up that space too quickly, we are talking about that with the ITS group at this time. Okay, so everything's customizable, like we talked about. We'll talk about, there's going to be your communication tools. You've got your content tools, you've got your course management, like the calendar or the file structure. So that's all going to be there, and we're going to get into that more specifically. When we talk about the Blackboard course, let's look at that. So this is where it gets really fun, right? So this is what I had, and this is what I got. It's a little different. It's not a one-to-one. Some things are the same, some things are not. So for example, announcements, they work the same way. The way you see here, a long list of announcements of everything that was ever said, you also have that long list of announcements in Canvas. However, it's collapsed. So they just give you a preview to give it a more streamlined look. Okay. When we click on our syllabus and outline here, I'm going to click on that. That's actually going to be items and folders. So those go and transition over to the modules. So if I come over here, I've got my syllabus outline. That's the name of it. And it got rid of the ampersands, just, little things like that. They don't transfer exactly, and you'd want to edit it, which isn't hard. We'll talk about it even more, but you would literally just click edit and you can change it, and you really can just put it back if that is what you wanted to do. Okay, so then your document that's put here is now this line. A folder becomes a subheader, and then whatever is inside that folder is going to be indented 1. So you can increase and decrease the indents to sort of organize the visual look of what's on the page. Then you've got all of these additional folders. So I've got student resources becomes this subheader here, and everything that's inside that folder is below it. I've got university policies and student resources for School of Physical Therapy, again, and everything that's inside of it. And so it just continues on down the page for all that stuff. Now, I might not actually want any of it, and the process of cleaning up the Blackboard copy is going to be to delete it, or I can work within copying bits and pieces. So that's one of the things that for the rest of the week, looking at your actual Blackboard copy and seeing, like, how messy is it? How much time do I want to dedicate to deleting all of these pieces? Or do I want to say, let's just come on over here to my sandbox or my academic blueprint area. I can come to the settings and I can say, I want to import course content. And then I can actually copy parts of a course. So I don't remember what the name of my course was, so I'm going to look. It's called, I believe, SNP. Oh, let's see. What is the name of it? If you're exact, it brings it up for you. That's the point. Okay, so here I got SNP demo course. I'm going to copy this name, and I'm going to search for it here. And there it is. And then I can say I want to select specific content. And when I do this, I also can adjust events and due dates. So I don't recommend you do it this time necessarily, but in the future for next term, the next time you teach this course, you're going to basically have had everything set up. You can adjust the events and due dates, and you can say the last term started, it's going to change to the new start date. It ended here and it's going to change to a new end date. And what it will do is it will ripple through and it will calendar adjust all of your due dates and everything that's entered for you. So it's pretty amazing. You can try it for this time from the Blackboard course while you're doing it. My only hesitation is coming from IT. I haven't tested it personally, so I don't know the exact behavior. So it could potentially work really well or not. And I just don't want to necessarily speak to what will happen when I'm not really positive. But it definitely works well. And I've used the feature many, many times before, especially working over at UT Health. Anything that could make us be more productive and more efficient, I had to use it. So this part, I'm actually just going to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do select specific content. Well, once you click import, nothing really happens. It just says waiting for you to choose. And then you click select this content and you get to actually pick and choose only the parts that you want. So this is the fastest way to keep the good stuff and dump the bad stuff. And I know that there's a lot of information in these Blackboard courses that you probably don't want anymore. So this is really great. Now, I'm going to show you just here. Let's say I look at my modules. I'm going to go, oh yeah, I definitely want all my weekly modules, right? Like that's my content and that's beautiful. But all this other stuff, I don't use any of it. I'm going to leave it behind. So don't put a check mark. And then let's say you go into your assignments and you're going to see there's a lot of stuff kind of going on here that it just might not make a whole lot of sense. But we look in here and we go, oh, online student agreement. Oh, wait, this was, again, all that extra stuff from Blackboard that you probably weren't using and you're probably not going to use. So you wouldn't want to copy it over. And there's just so many duplicates because when the courses were copied, it wouldn't replace it. It would just make an extra and an extra and an extra. So once it comes over into Canvas, in Blackboard, it kind of hides it from you pretty good. But in Canvas, it just lays it all out there for you to see and sort through. So there's definitely going to be a lot of options. You're going to be the expert with your content. So I would imagine that you would know like, oh yeah, I definitely keep that final project, Pilates video project. I would keep that and you'd be able to go through it. Quizzes, again, there will be a list. All of this, see, this is just garbage. So I wouldn't want to keep it. And then I would just come in here and I would select the ones that I wanted. Your question banks. So just like just the way Blackboard had question banks and you could do where you wanted to create a quiz and you wanted it to say take 5 questions from this bank and 5 questions for another bank and make your quiz. You can do all the same stuff. So you're definitely going to have a question bank in here. Don't need to copy it necessarily, but it's there for you. You'll have discussion topics, 111 pages to choose from. So this is going to take a little time for you to pick, but don't worry. You don't have to do it all at once. Like, let's just say that one day you're going to sit down and you're going to deal with copying your assignments. You can just do that. You can do selected content. It will run that process. And then you can come back and do it all over again and do a next piece. So whatever you have time for and you want to self-manage that, you have the options. Any questions before I cancel out of here because I don't actually want to do this? Okay, so I'm going to cancel. I'm not going to do anything here and it doesn't matter. I can just leave and it'll just sit there. No big deal. No harm, no foul. So really, a lot of good stuff going on when you have this Blackboard mess. So I'm going to come back to my Blackboard mess and keep talking about it because, again, everybody has good stuff they're going to want to keep, but there's going to be just a lot of extra, which you're probably not. So I'm going to scroll down. We've got some great other information, workouts and content over here in my Blackboard area. So this is an item right here. And now it is on this page called roll call. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to let you guys see what that looks like. So it's an assignment And this is an assignment in Canvas. And then over here, I'm going to click on this one. And this was an assignment in Blackboard. So you can kind of see it's a little bit user-friendly. I feel like when you're going down your list of options, you've basically got, a place where you can put comments down here, but it doesn't really work like that in Canvas. It wants your comments right at the top. So you just give things a name, you give them a description, and then you get to choose what you want to have happen. So this particular assignment right here is worth 0 points. So it's going to be calculated as extra credit in Canvas. So that's something to keep in mind. We'll talk about more during the assignments, but if you did 0 points possible assignments in Blackboard, they copied over as 0 points, and then Canvas is going to calculate them as extra credit. So if you don't want that, you're going to want to add and change that, or you're going to want to select do not count this towards the final grade. Maybe it's just participatory. So then you've got submission types. You get to make all these choices. Everything's a checkbox or a drop down or a ... more menu, or an add or a delete button. So all very, very similar across the board. Now, let's say you make a change while you're teaching and it's after the fact. You can check the box at the bottom of the page to notify the people in your course that a change has been made. So sometimes if I put an announcement in one of the resource courses and then I find out something was wrong, I'll definitely go back and make a correction and then notify people that I did that. So I'm going to cancel out of here. And I'm going to go back to my main area. And you can see in here, I've just got a huge navigation menu. That's just one of the unfortunate effects of when we copy in the courses from Blackboard. So you do have control over changing that. I'm a big fan of the smaller the menu, the better, right? If you're not using all of this stuff, don't give your students links to it. You'll want to go into your settings. You'll want to go to your navigation. And you're going to simply drag and drop what you don't want to the bottom of the page. So let's say, for example, I do not plan to use StudyMate. So I'm going to move that and drop it down here. I don't plan to use, let's just say I'm not going to use outcomes. And I'm not going to use collaborations, just an example, or Edpuzzle or badges. And I'm going to save this. Always click save, or it will not save your changes. And then when I come back over here to home, I have a couple of less things. Now, again, your blueprint course, it's going to have a lot less because IT has been working very hard to listen to feedback and simplify things. So really, your main stuff isn't going to be as cluttered up as the Blackboard copy. So that's something to keep in mind. That's very different. Okay, so basically have one other really important thing to show you guys in walking around this Blackboard copy. So we're basically going all the way down my modules page. Again, every single folder and item that's in here over in Blackboard got moved over to Canvas for you. And you're probably not going to want a lot of it. But there's another really important place that you need to be familiar with, and that is called your files. So in your course navigation, the files link is going to take you to the back end of Canvas. And so you know how you can upload documents, you can save them to your desktop, and then you can attach them in various places like an email and send them to someone. Canvas works pretty similar, right? You upload a document to the backend files area, it's just like your desktop, and then you get to put a link to it out in your course somewhere so that students can actually see it. Also, you can use files to give student access. And I say it with a little bit of hesitation because It's not necessarily the way most people do it, but if you're teaching a face-to-face course and you really just need to have a folder with your weekly classroom materials, maybe your PowerPoint presentation that you've talked about in class face-to-face, you want to share it with the students, they can have access to the files. You can have a folder, you drop your PowerPoint in there, they get to see it as well. So it kind of works a little bit like OneDrive and you share the folder. But typically that's not how you would do it. Typically files would be used to store all of the things that you use to teach that course. Like for example, you create some quizzes and you've got the keys, you can save them in the file structure. And then for the next 4 years, while this course is archived and saved for you, that information is just neatly packaged up and easy to find. Now, it works just like a desktop. You can create folders. You can name them pretty much anything you want. I'm going to just say this is an example folder. And I'm going to click the check mark. And now I have an empty folder. And I can do whatever I want. I can upload, or I can go back and I can move things that are already in this course. So for example, I'm going to click on the PEHP 1125 folder here, and you're going to see that this is all my Blackboard files, right? Everything that I was uploading into this course, I now have over here. Well, you'll also see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, maybe make it easier for everybody to see it. They're not necessarily unique. So the beginner Pilates student checklist has a duplicate. I don't need that, right? So I can actually click this, and once it's highlighted, you can see it's blue now. I can click the trash can and say, I don't want that anymore. And now I only have one. So having a clean folder structure, having only the files that you need can make it really easy to manage your course moving forward. All of these can be copied. Again, when we were in this course and we were only doing a select item copy, files is a choice and you can pick those files. The beauty of files though, is that you can replace your documents, and anywhere they're linked in the course for students, it will automatically update them. So let me show you what I mean by that. And this is a foundational thing that once you understand this key piece, updating your Canvas course forever is easier. So I've opened up the online syllabus. I'm going to download it. And it's just going to be, I'm going to open it with Word. Well, actually, I'm going to save because I want to show you how it works fully. So I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to open it in my downloads here. I'm going to come back and say yes, open it up in Word. And once it's finished, let's say I'm going to enable editing, and let's say I have right at the top, let's say I have COVID changes, right? And I have something that I want to say about COVID specifically, and I save it and I close it, and then I come back over here and I upload to the same place and I say open, and it's going to ask me, there's already one here, do you want to replace it? And then I can replace, and now that syllabus has the updated information that I added onto it. Now, that may not sound like that's that big of a deal, but if you have this syllabus linked in your course and you do a name change, like let's say I like to name my syllabus 2020, and then I upload the one with the number, and then I come back and I rename it 2021, I can upload that, but it's just going to make another one. And now the only one that's linked in my course is this one. These, I have to manually go find it and fix it. If it's linked on a page, if it's linked in the announcements, if it's linked in an assignment, a discussion board, or anywhere on any module, I would have to manually go and fix all of the places that I put it. But if I just keep the same name and click replace, I'm done. So that is something to be thinking about. Definitely there's some work to be done with Blackboard. Obviously, it doesn't transfer in beautifully, but it does get most everything into your course. I will say rubrics are one area that you might actually get the rubric, but it could be inverted. So if you had rows and columns, it came in, it would have flipped them and it would have messed them up. So you do have to manually plan to spend some time to fix your rubrics, or at least make sure and verify that they're accurate. But yes, that's definitely one that does not transfer in very well.
Melissa, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Can you go back to where you were earlier when you were on that syllabus that you were downloading and uploading?
In the files section, yes.
Yeah, in the file section. Can you click on that one syllabus, not the one that you had with the number, but the other one?
Okay.
This
This one.
online Pilates. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you first click on it here, can you correct it here?
No, you have to download
Okay.
it and then fix it and then re-upload it.
Okay, that's the part I want to know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I did not mean to keep you guys over. I actually have a second group waiting. Lots to talk about. I don't want anyone to feel like I didn't get to something today. I actually plan to get to everything each week. I have so much to share in detail, and we'll have a lot more time to ask questions and kind of talk through things more specifically as we move on. I'm definitely available, so don't hesitate to schedule some time to talk to me if you have questions. There's just a lot of great community information with Canvas, so I hope you'll feel supported by that. I feel like most people have figured the ways to do things, and we're just here learning along with them. So it's been a lot of fun.
Are you going to publish this recording?
Yes, I will have it
Send it to
posted.
us?
Yes, the link to where the recordings are in the chat, and then they'll be on YouTube. I put the playlist link in the chat, and then I'll also send an email afterwards just saying, here was the stuff, and make sure everybody has access.
And every class that's going to be offered for the next 5 weeks is on a Monday?
So it's actually only this nursing course. If you're interested in seeing what happens with this particular Pilates course, then you would come to the Mondays. Otherwise, you've got the whole schedule. I sent it out as an attachment in email. You've got Tuesdays at 12:30. You've got Wednesdays at 3. Thursdays is typically not a course, but this Thursday has one because of Good Friday. And then Fridays at, I do believe, 10:30. 10 or 10:30.
Well, it's showing, the reason I asked is it is showing on our calendar for next Monday.
Yes. Well, nursing faculty were all invited to come together, and then but you don't have to. It's all the same Zoom link. You can sign into any of them. Hello?
So,
Did I lose you guys?
Melissa, no, I'm
Okay.
still here, definitely. Melissa, you said that this recording will be on the link, and I just clicked on that link that you posted earlier, but that just took us to like the IT Canvas page. Is that where it's going to be? This particular recording?
You clicked on the IT Canvas page, and then above that it says HPS Canvas Training Series YouTube videos recorded sessions in the chat. It's above Delia Meyer.
No, all I see is Delia saying thank you, and that's it.
There's nothing above that?
That I can see on mine. Does anybody else have something above Delia's that's saying thank you?
Huh.
Sandra, you don't see anybody, and you just see just Delia's thank you, and that's it, right?
All mine are there. all those things are there.
Chandra, are you on a Mac? I always like to blame it on that.
I am on a Mac, but I also
I'm wondering if that's what
logged
it
in a
is.
little bit late. So she sent it ahead, like it could have been, okay, there it is.
Yeah,
It
I
I
just
can't
resent it.
No, that just came.
Yeah, I resent it. There you guys go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you guys. You all have a great day. It was great. Thank you for attending. It was really nice talking to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.